points, a few points. Might sound too good to be true, but it's not. I've been teaching the exam for the last 10 years and have coached thousands of students. And what I've seen over this time, I'm going to share with you on these videos. The more you watch, the higher your score is going to go. So enjoy and like our videos. A really important strategy we're going to need to use on both tests and everybody's seemingly least favorite topic on the math sections for both SAT and ACT, which is ratios. Nobody is a fan of ratios. So let's put down what we know. So you might read the question and think it starts out kind of easy, but there's a lot of stuff packed into this little guy here. So here's what we know. We're dealing with a rectangle, and the perimeter is 96 whatever's units. Okay. A, B, C, D. Now, we don't know the lengths of the sides, but we know what they are in proportion to each other, or their ratios. Sometimes on the test, I'll circle ratios so I know that's not the actual measure of something. So AB and, BC are in the ratio of 3 to 5. And we know that these two ratios are eventually going to add up to 96. But remember, once we figure out what the actual numbers are, I'm going to call this the multiplier. This is going to help us here. We know that we need to, whatever the length of AB is, we need to multiply it times 2, because there's going to be 2 of them, and there will be 2 BC. So don't forget that when you're working with perimeter. A lot of people automatically go into area mode, including myself. And by the way, that'll always be a distractor answer on the test. If you accidentally are working with a shape and you do area versus perimeter or circumference, it's always a viable answer. So kind of got to be careful. So basically, we'll multiply these by 2, get their sums, and add them together, and they have to equal 96. So that's the condition set in our question. Now, it's not going to be that hard, but it all comes down to this. It's called the ratio box. Basically, there's this little thing that I call the invisible multiplier, because everything is multiplied in ratios. It's geometric, meaning you don't add, you multiply. So I need to multiply the 3 and the 5 by the same number to get the actual lengths, because they'll be in those same proportions. And I know 3 and 5 aren't big enough, because 3 and 3 is 6, plus 5 and 5 is 10. 16 is way too short. If I multiplied them both by 2, I can still see I'm not going to get big enough. So rather than waste time and try to figure out what that invisible multiplier is, this is where the time-saving strategy of using the answers is going to help you. If you just look down at the answer choices, A is 6. I mean, I can see right there that's the answer, because the next highest number is 18, and I'm going to get ginormous numbers if I multiply 3 and 5 times 18. You know what I mean? So I'm going to tell my answer 6. That means my invisible multiplier, this is the thing you're always looking for when you're doing ratios, is 6. What's 3 times 6? 18. What's 3 times 6? Or sorry, 5 times 6? Can't read my own handwriting. 30. Look at that. 30 times 2 is 60. 18 times 2 is 36. 36 plus 60 is 96. So had I not used the answers, I probably would have started with 3 or 4, and it would have taken me a couple of attempts. But as soon as I know that strategy, that I need to start saving time, that probably shaved like 30 seconds off that question, and that's really important. So one, you got to get real comfortable with ratios. I really recommend the ratio box. Yeah, you can do this all in your head, but your head should be seeing something like this. Unless you have your own way of doing it, I'm guessing you don't if you're watching the video, but I find the ratio box works for more of my students than any other method. So give it a whirl, practice it on a couple of ratio problems. Keywords to look for are proportion, or like anytime they have you like doubling recipes or working with things like that, It's ratios. So keep this in mind. Um, Ratios alone as a theme, like if you just nail ratios and you spend a couple days and like really process how they work and get used to the word problems, that's going to make a significant change in your math score because I would say you could get 5 to 6 ratio related questions on an ACT and up to 10 to 20% on your SAT could be ratio related. It's like the in thing to test right now. So make sure you're solid on your ratios. All right.